Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I'm here to explain, or at least hopefully explain to you how to use the functions and the variables in lesson 20. So I'm going to go ahead and click back to lesson 1 here. And I'm going to start over on lesson 1 so we can all start together if you're having trouble. So what they're doing here is they're giving us some code. They say when run, we're going to set gather, whatever that is, to 2. And then we're going to repeat the function collect row some number of times. Well, if you remember back to a few weeks ago when we actually went to school, miss you guys, by the way. If you recall, a function is basically like a bunch of code stuck into a box and given a name. And in this case, our box name that we gave it we called it collect row. And collect row includes moving forward some number of times, then getting nectar some number of times, then moving forward once, then making honey some number of times, and then turning left. And the purpose of that is to complete everything in that row. So let's look at what that's going to be. To collect the entire first row, we're going to move forward how many times? Well, that would be 1, 2 before we do anything. So we're going to put in the number 2 here. Okay. So let's go to the math. Sorry, I didn't walk you through that. Let's go to the math tab and let's put in the little puzzle piece with a number in it. Now we have to change that 1 to a 2. Okay. So we've moved forward 2 times. Now once we're there, we want to get nectar some number of times. Again, that number is going to be 2. So again, I could go to the math tab and get the little puzzle piece and put that in there and change that to a 2. Alternatively, we could shorten that a little bit by using a little shortcut. We already said that gather is going to be equal to 2. Now this gather is called a variable. Just like in math class or in algebra, you've got variables. You've got x or y or t or r or whatever. You can call that whatever you want. It doesn't really matter what you call that letter. And the same thing, you can give it any number that you want. You could say x equals 2, and then you could say y equals 2. I'm not sure that didn't really make sense. Forget about that for a second. We're setting the gather variable. We can call it whatever we want. We can rename it to anything, but instead of using x, we're calling it gather, and we're giving it a value of 2. So every time we use the word gather, we're essentially using the number 2. So since we need to get nectar 2 times, in this case, we're going to get nectar, instead of 2 times, we're going to get nectar gather number of times, which is equal to 2, since we said it was. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, it should make some more sense on the next slide. So after we get the nectar, we're going to move forward, which puts us on the honeycomb, and then we're going to make honey. You guessed it, 2 times, or in this case, we're going to do gather times, which is also 2. Then the bee turns left, and he's all set up to complete another row and then a third row. So what that says to us is we need to repeat how many times? Well, that's going to be where the 3 comes in. So again, I went to math, I went to the puzzle piece, and I changed the 1 to a 3. So that should let us, that sound is terrible. Okay, it completes our 3 rows. Very good. Now on the second slide here, this is the same code. Same bit of code here. Collect row 3 times. Okay, fair enough. But the puzzle is a little bit different. In this case, the puzzle, it wants us to move 1, 2, 3 times, and then collect 1, 2, 3 nectars, and then move forward once, and then make 1, 2, 3 honeys. And that is repeated, you guessed it, 3 times. So instead of writing a whole new code, we can simply change this gather value from 2 to 3, and then everywhere we had gather, it's now going to be 3 times. Looks like my free video recorder is kicking me off here. Email me if you have questions. Bye-bye.